So this Sikha is very interesting because the main body of the Sikha is a story. It's a story of the Baal Shem Tov. And like it's almost like the entire Sikha is like there to really explain the story. Even though there's going to be a concept in our parsha that the Sikha is going to explain, still in all, it's really the centerpiece of the Sikha is a story. So it's very interesting. Even though this is not from the Sikhas of Aleph and Daled, it's Chelik Zayin, but it sounds like one of those early Sikhas, and it's very, very geschmack in that way. So first of all, just to introduce, in this week's Parsha, we talk about the halachas of Arla. In Parshas Kedoshim, we talk about the halachas of Arla. What's the halachas of Arla? The halachas of Arla is that the first 3 years, Areilim Yehu, that will be totally usher. The first 3 years of a tree, it's completely usher. You cannot have any of it. The 4th year, it's treated like Meiser Sheni. It's Kodesh, which means you have to either take the fruits of the tree and eat it only in Yerusholayim, Betara, and so on, or you could exchange for money and bring the money in Yerusholayim and buy food and eat it in Yerusholayim. And then after the 4th year, on the 5th year, then it's a normal tree like everything. The Rebbe's focus here in the Sikha is going to be making a big tumult about the 5th year. And what the Torah says about the 5th year, even though the 5th year seems to be like, okay, now everything's back to normal. Now everything is simple. Now everything is pashut. We took care of the Arlo, we took care of the Neta Ravoy, the 4th year. Now it's the 5th year. What's the big deal? The Rebbe is going to explain how the 5th year is really Leila. It's the most of the most. The Gabi Aschar al iachilas peiris b'shalosh shnoiser orla rishonos ve'al havos ha peiris b'shana revis le'achilasim b'Yerusholayim aimeres ha-Torah u'b'shnas ha-chamishis lehoisif im ha'ois lamed b'tchilas lachem tfu osoi. It's a very strange expression that the Torah uses. Lehoisif. Why does it say lehoisif? Lehoisif means that because, and as a schar for not eating the fruits for the 3 years, and eating the 4th year fruits in a way of kodesh and Yerusholayim, so your schar will be lehoisif. It will increase, you will have more tvua b'shnas ha-chamishis. Sha'atachas ha-kavana shel mitzvahs elu hi ha-tisefes b'tvua shetitzmach b'shana ha-chamishis. And the Rebbe in the footnotes brings about that this is the whole idea that the Torah spoke keneged the Yetzer Hara, because the Yetzer Hara is going to tell you, I'm losing so much, 3 years of fruits I can't eat, what's going to be? So the Torah says, Dibra keneged the Yetzer Hara, don't worry Yetzer Hara, we will take care of it. We will be lahoisif, we will increase, we will make sure that you will not suffer a loss because of it at all. And the reason why the Torah spoke about it here is because of this idea. The whole purpose of this mitzvah, the whole approach of this mitzvah, as the Sikha will explain, is to bring to the level of the Shana HaChamishis. Kach moving b'primis and yonim sha'peiris shal Shana HaChamishis einam bedargen nailis yoserak l'umas ha'peiris shal shnoisa orlo ha'asurim b'achila. Of course, the 5th year you're allowed to eat it. The first 3 years, you're not allowed to eat it. So obviously, the 5th year's peiros are less bad. They're more holy because something that is the 3 years of Isur. So when you have the 5th year where it's kosher, and you have the first 3 years that it's tereif, so the first 3 years has to do with shalosh klipsat meis, that's very low. The 5th year that it's mutter, it can be oila, that has to do with a higher level. So, but not only is the 5th year a higher level in comparison to the first 3 years, it's a higher level. Seemingly like this. The 4th year, you're allowed to eat the fruit of the 4th year. The Posuk says, this is something that's holy for the Eibishter. So what should be the holiest of these 3 parts? 3 years Arla, 4th year Natarivai, 5th year ordinary, the 4th year should be seemingly the holiest. It comes out from the Posuk that the ultimate level, the highest level, is what's going to be in the 5th year, not the 4th year. The 4th year is not the ultimate thing. Hem keneged shloisha ha'olamis bri yitzirasi chayes asher mehem efsharis yenika v'anokas chayes l'shol shibsat meis. Since bri yitzirasi are already, even though they're in the worlds of kedusha and they're olamis ruchnim, but they still have a shayches and a possibility, since they are nivroim already, they're not Hashem himself, so it's possible from them to be a yenika that the shalosh klipsat meis should get chayes from there. That's why, that's the significance of the number 3. The number 3 is keneged bri yitzirasiyah. Hapeiris shal b'shana revi is keneged olam ha'atzilus. Asher abba olam es elu, atzilus bri yitzirasiyah, hem keneged arba ha'oisis shal shem havaya yud kei vav kei. The last hey vav hey corresponds to bri yitzirasiyah. The yud of shem yud kei vav kei is connected the world of Atzilus. Va'inyan shal b'shana chamishis l'hois v'lchem tvuasai hu teisefes ha'or. This is all quotes from the Alter Rebbe. Hanimshach mikutzai shal yud shem havaya. That the yud has on it a point on top of it. That point is meram is on a level that's not only higher than Bri Yitzirasiyah, it's higher than Atzilus also. Hanayla af me'ois yud, ukidvara b'lekutei Torah v'bechinas ha-Kesser. Also in the Geras HaTshuva, in Tanya, the Alter Rebbe says that Yud Kei Vav Kei has to do with the different spheres in Atzilus, and the Yud on top, the Koitze Shal Yud, has to do with Kesser. So, the same question. The Shana Chamish is in an ordinary year. Why would the ordinary year be a higher level, having to do with Kesser, and the 4th year be a lower level? It's only the world of Atzilus. Yesh lahavim keitz yitachin sheis ha'perish al shana revis. Chayovim lechel rak b'Yerusholayim em kodesh ilul lavayim ve'ilu ha'perish al shana chamishis. Shem halasam gevoya yoyser meperish al shana revis. They're from the world of Kesser. Ein bam klal kedusha. Umuter la'ochlam b'chol mokim va'afilu b'tumah. The payers of Neter Avoid that the person has to take to Yerusholayim, the payers of the 4th year, you're not allowed to eat it but if it's not betara. You have to be betara. Mashenki, the 5th year, b'chlal, you can do it anyway, anyhow. Again, it's ordinary food. And that has to do with Kesser. What's the sense of it? Asher Sipar HaRebbe. In other words, he's talking about the Frierdiker Rebbe told over. B'maimer dibra maschel v'ata kodesh yoshev tehillas Yisrael. V'kach nemer sham. This is what it says in that Maimer b'tirgum chofshi. The Frierdiker Rebbe told over the story in Yiddish. And it's really juicy, and some of it is really, one needs to understand Yiddish to really appreciate some parts of the story that I'll tell you. And the Rebbe also connects it later on that this Va'ata Kodesh Eshtil Yisrael. Oh, actually over here in the sub ha'ara that has to do with Parshas Kedoshim. Ata Kodesh Eshtil Yisrael. It also has to do with Kedoshim Tiyu. So it says, "Betkufa sheba hoya Baal Shem Tov HaKodesh Adayin Nistar v'yinoidet me'ir li'ir mikvalik far hoysa achas man hagoysa v'hakadoshes lishel kol Yehudi anoshim v'noshim." מבוגרים וצעירים, לגבי מצבם בבריאס, בפרנסה, והוים מרוצה ביועסר לשמייס תשובייסיים מלאיס האמונה שנהגו להשב לוי היהודים, אנשים נשים בילודים, בביטויים שוינים של בטוחם בהשם. They answered him, Baruch Hashem, Hashevach LaHashem Yisbarach, v'kadoyma. This is what the Baal Shem Tov's purpose was in asking. Obviously, he was also interested to see how they were doing, but he was also interested in eliciting from them, getting out from them these words of Baruch Hashem, of being Mishabech the Eibishter. Pam achas higia Rebbe Baal Shem Tov liyishuv mesuyam v'nog sham bedarkei hakadoshim avodas Hashem bezikoy haYehudim anoshim v'yeladim bezchus ha'atzuma. This is the way the Frierdiker Rebbe calls it. Shel shevach v'halel l'shmoi hakadosh al Kadosh Baruch Hu. All they're doing is they're saying Baruch Hashem, but the Rebbe and the Frierdiker Rebbe says it's a schus atzuma that he was being mezakeh the Yidden by saying Baruch Hashem. Ba'oisi Yishuv is goyre Yehudi zokin muflag Talmud Chacham Gadol sheyeparush mikol inyonei ha'olam hazeh. In the times of the Baal Shem Tov, there was these people that were called a parush, and like we'll soon explain, there was also like a parush zimmer, a parush tibble, that a little beis medrash used to have like a side room that a parush would sit there and learn, separate, removed entirely from the world. V'kshaya parush mikol inyonei ha'olam hazeh v'kvar yoser miyovel shonim hu yoshev yoimam v'layla v'loimidas ha'torah ha'kedosha v'prishus ha'kedusha. And not only that, but also the way he did it. Kol yama v'yoshev b'tainis u'uter b'talis u'b'tfilin ad l'shas ha'mincha mucheres. He used to wear tefillin, in other words, almost as late as you could wear tefillin, but he didn't eat. So it wasn't just his learning, it was also, he was misagif himself, he also, didn't indulge in Olam Hazeh. So he's completely and totally separated from Olam Hazeh and Yonah. So the Goyen saw in front of him a very ordinary, simple person. He didn't know who he was dealing with. This was before this Galus of the Baal Shem Tov, like he said before. So he approached the Goyen Zeh b'chei de Prishusai, Shevepinas Beis HaKnesses, V'shal lo oidis matzavi b'riyusai, bebrius v'miyash lo kol tzarkai, lo yisyaches elav hala klal. The parish totally ignored him. He's busy learning, and this ordinary villager is asking him what's doing with him. Baal Shem Tov shaloi sheilos elam mispar pamim, ad asher hagoyin kas b'yoser v'hoyrel Baal Shem Tov b'etzboi l'kivan adelas lo'ishi azvenu. He just pointed to the door and here, could I have one over here? He pointed to the something else. Sorry. He was pointing to the door. We'll tell soon a story with the Rav Marash and Mashke by Ashir. And he pointed to the door, indicating Baal Shem Tov, arois, he didn't even want to be mevatel Torah for a second, and he right away, arois from that. Amar Baal Shem Tov l'goyin, the Rebbe, madua eincha mesapek l'kadosh baruch hu k'v'yochel es parnasos v'chol. You're not giving the Eibishter his parnasa. Why aren't you giving the Eibishter his parnasa? B'shoy midvarim elu noisar agoyin novach. Keitzad Yehudi kafri poshut medaber al kadosh baruch hu k'v'yochel sheyesh l'sapek lo parnasa v'chadoyme. What type of, apicursus is going on over here? What type of kfir is he saying over here? There's a parnasa, you got to give parnasa to the Eibishter, and why aren't you giving parnasa to the Eibishter? Baal Shem Tov, asher yodas machshavosav shel hagoyin, amar loy, haYehudim yoshvim. Now, this is a Yiddish expression that's very hard to translate. Ze sitzen auf der Parnasa von Eibishten. Yoshvim nizoinim a Parnasa shemesapek lehem HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Umema yoshev mesparnes hu keviyachol. Avos sitzt der Eibishter, Sitzt auf Kesser, right? Al kach amar David HaMelech b'tilim va'ata Kodesh. You who are Kodesh, what's going to be your Parnasa? Avos sitzt du? Umay Parnasascha Yoshev. Again, Yeshiva sitzen shows that he's having Parnasa. It's from Tehillah Yisrael. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yoshev al Tehillah v'shivcha Yisrael. That's the Parnasa of the Eibishter. Asher moidim u'mishapchim la'Hashem yizbarach ala brius v'ala Parnasa shumanik lehem. V'al vur milois shavach elu shemishapchim Yisrael Hashem. In other words, when Yidden say Baruch Hashem and Adank dem Eibishten, Geloib dem Eibishten, mivarcham HaKadosh Baruch Hu bebone chayim azoyne reviche, making a comfortable living, having everything they need, just for thanking the Eibishter, for being Shabbat, the Eibishter, for these inyan. So, fine. It's a very geschmack and Maise. The Frierdiker Rebbe brings over there that story in the Maimer, Benegir, the great quality of Baruch Hashem and thanking Hashem and so on. But the Rebbe is, when he brings down a Maise in a Sikha, it's not just a Maise. He analyzes it and he breaks it down. And it's not just, it's a Maise, it's a Medrash, it's this. He needs to really get his teeth into it. Was tut sich da? What's going on over here? What did the Baal Shem Tov want from this guy? He was coming with kindness to the guy. And he was saying, why aren't you giving Parnasa to the Eibishter? So the Rebbe is going to ask, hold on. This guy is 50 years sitting and learning Torah, Beprishus, Betar. Why isn't that enough of a Parnasa for the Eibishter? What else do you want from him? You want Dafki, should answer Baruch Hashem? Why isn't it enough that he's saying Meimus and Kurtness or Shema B'Arvis? Why is that not enough of a Parnasa for the Eibishter? What is it about saying Baruch Hashem that is so much greater? That the Baal Shem Tov had to stop and interrupt and bother this old guy to say Baruch Hashem? This is the question that I was going to ask. Yesh lahavin, amnam kadesh va'ata kodesh. How could it be that the Kodesh of Hashem should be settled? The difference between someone that's sitting and someone that's standing is, when you sit, you lower yourself down. The same thing, the Eibishter is Ata Kodesh. Kodesh, Kedusha means being moved or removed higher than the worlds. So how does the Eibishter come down, Yoshev, into this world? Yesh tzoyrech b'avoidosam shel Yisrael. And we say that there is the idea of parnasosi. What does food do? Food does the same thing. There's my neshama and there's my guf. So my neshama should come down and stay into my body. I need to eat food. The food that I eat is the parnasa. That food makes sure that my neshama remains connected with my body. The similar way Hashem has food. Hashem has the Tilas Yisrael. That becomes his parnasa, that kaviyachol ma ha-neshama memalas aguf, kach HaKadosh Baruch Hu memalas ha'olam. So the same way the Eibishter also needs to come down into the world, and what's his food that connects kaviyachol, the soul and the body? That is the Tilus Yisrael. But the Rebbe says, ach l'churev shel hagiyah lakach, gam b'emtzois limud ha'Torah. Why do you need to have the Tilus Yisrael? Why do you need to have the Baruch Hashem? This old Yid was sitting and learning. Like he mentioned before in the story, he was in the middle of learning, and he stopped him from his learning to say Baruch Hashem. That means there must be something more in the Baruch Hashem than even sitting and learning. So maybe let's say it's not enough the learning itself. There has to be that you are mahalel and mishabeach the Eibishter. The learning itself is not good enough. You have to be mahalel and mishabeach. But what could have been the hilul and shavach? Yachol haya Baal Shem Tov la'oros hagoyim l'shabeach es HaKadosh Baruch Hu al limudoi beprishus u'bekdusha. We know we give different times. We thank the Eibishter for the Torah that he gave us. We thank Hashem for that. Instead of the Baal Shem Tov bothering the Goyim and telling him, you know what? What's doing with Parnasa? What's doing with your needs? What's doing with your health? He could have said, was tut ich mit lernen? And they said, Baruch Hashem, I'm zoiche to sit and learn. So why wouldn't that have been enough of a hilul to be able to accomplish that the Ata Kaddish from Hashem should come down and be Yoshev down here, should come down into this world? So here the Rebbe is going to come to the very famous klal, that what matters the most is to connect the Eibishter with this world. To just be Mishabech the Eibishter for Torah, you can learn Gan Eden also. The main thing is to connect Hashem with the physical world, and that's through saying, Baruch Hashem, that I have health. Baruch Hashem, that I have money. Baruch Hashem, that I have my needs. Baruch Hashem, that I have kids. Tachlis habriya hi shetia dir leizbarach betachtoinim shemadvarim hanechusim yasu dir lekadosh baruch hu v'dir zu nasis beikir ayde avodas adam betachtoinim loy kol kach b'emtzois limud ha'torah ay b'emtzois shevach lekadosh baruch hu al limud ha'torah. Why? Because limud ha'torah is still out of this world. Ki limud ha'torah kasher beikir le'elyon shebiyehudi le'nefesh alekis. It's primarily a nefesh alekis activity. It doesn't have to do with the tachton in the person. Elai de shevach lakadosh baruch hu al briyas v'al parnasa. In yonim akshurim leguf v'lenefesh achiyunis aidei sheyehudim chashim u'makirim bekach she'af tzorcheim agashmim b'yim eis Hashem v'heim moedim lo al kach aidei kach oisim dira la Hashem yizbarach v'tachtoinim the Yoshev, the Kaddish of the Eibishter is Yoshev, sits down here through the Tilas Yisrael for the physical things. I thank Hashem for my physical needs. That's where I have an unbelievable pu'ula of making a dira b'tachtoinim. Leficha kasherah Baal Shem Tov shagoyin Yoshev b'cheder prishus menutek mechol inyani ha'olam ve'eina baba magim inyani ha'guf hanefesh ha'bahamis imchelke ba'olam im ha'tachtoinim. Where do we see this? Maybe, he ate, he slept, he did some gashmistic things that he was in contact with. Like we said before, he only ate a little bit bread and a little bit water at the end of a whole day of fasting. He was not engaged, for sure not with the world. And he wasn't engaged with trying to elevate his nefesh habamis and elevate his body. So that's why at Baal Shem Tov told him, "Hu amar loy madua einchem mesapek parnasa lakadosh baruch hu, kedei sheyiskayim ha'inyan shel nisava kadosh baruch hu liyis leyizbarach dira betachtoinim." V'lachein amar Baal Shem Tov sheparnasas shel hakadosh baruch hu hayal tihilos v'shivchei Yisrael asher moedim meshabchim l'Hashem yizbarach, not just the moedim meshabchim, but for what are they giving the Haidah v'Shevach? Al habrius v'al parnos asher manik lahem. And the Rebbe says in the footnote that therefore it makes sense. How did the Baal Shem Tov interrupt him in the middle of learning? We know the Talmud Torah connected Kulam. Why would the Baal Shem Tov, maybe wait till he's finished? Wait till after Mincha, when he's anyway taking a break, taking off his tefillin, and then after Ma'ariv he's going to be eating, and then ask him about his briyas. Why do you interrupt him in the middle of learning? So the Rebbe says, because if you don't have this birur of the tachtoinim, so then it's missing in the limud HaTorah as well. Kol Talmud Torah she'ein ima gemilas chasadim, it's also missing that as well. Gemilas chasadim means the hamshacha into this world, dealing with this world. And that's why it was necessary for the Baal Shem Tov to interrupt him in the middle of his learning to be able to have this hamshacha. Now we can understand how the 5th year is higher even than the 4th year, that's Kodesh Hilulim LaHashem. Ois Dalet. Lefi kol ha'amur le'il yuvan madua peiros hashana araviyis shem Kodesh v'nachol b'lifnim v'nachoim. They're only eaten inside of Yerusholayim. Adayon eina mamayla gavor b'yosef. Eladavke Peiris Hashana Chamishis Anacholim B'chol Mokim V'Achfil B'Tuma. Over there you have the highest level. You have the level it's connected Kesser, the Kutzi Shel Yud of Yud Kei Vovke, and so on. Kashi Yehud Yedeya Shafilu HaPeiris She'einam Kodesh Af Hem Tluim B'Birchas Hashem we said right away at the beginning of the Sikha, that through the person keeping the halachas of the Shnei Orla, through the person keeping the halachas of Netar Avoy, of eating the 4th year's fruits in Yerusholayim, he sees that the bracha comes in the 5th year, that it increases lahoisiv tvuah, it makes him increase in his tvuah. So now, Harei bevadai mishabeach as HaKadosh Baruch Hu al kach. Harei halel zel Hashem. When he sees this open bracha in the Gashmias, for sure, he's going to give Hashem thanks for this. Hu hatilas Yisrael hameviyos l'dei va'ata Kadosh Yoshev. Sha'inyan shel va'ata. Ata is going directly, talking directly to the Eibishter. K'shekavana la'atzmusi yizbarach Kadosh u'muvdal. Who Yoshev v'yored l'mata l'dira v'tachtoinim. The Rebbe says, but a very interesting footnote. If that's the highest, so why do you need to have Netar Avoy? Because to be able to reach a level that even in the Gashmias you will see how it's all about the Eibishter, there has to be this type of transition and this type of kedusha, this open kedusha that you bring into it, that you take the peiros to Yerusholayim. It's al derech like uberach Hashem alakecha b'chol asher taseh. In the 6 days of the week we have to do malachim, but only when we have Shabbos beforehand, that ensures that when the 6 days of the week come about, or the 6 years of the Shemitah come about after the Shnas HaSheva, then I appreciate and see the Lakus in the 6 days of the week or the 6 years of the Shemitah. The same thing before the Shnas HaChamishis, I need to have before that the Netar Avoy, the 4th year, and that holiness of the 4th year, that Kedusha that I have to eat the peiros of the 4th year, only in Yerushalayim and only Betara, helps me that in the next year it's going to be even in the most gashmistic way of eating it betuma, eating it outside of Yerushalayim, it will still be connected with Hashem, it will be in a way of a shavach for Hashem.